It's been a very exciting few days in Westminster politics because, fanfare please, we had the first spring budget. Sorry, I'm talking nonsense. We had the last spring budget, and then we're going to have the first autumn budget in the autumn, I think. They flipped which end of the year they're doing what. The budget was about what you'd expect. It's a Conservative budget. It involves quite a lot of cuts, many of them sneaky, or targeted at people who are already too impoverished to effectively fight back or make themselves visible. This is not a surprise. It's depressing as hell, but it's not a surprise. The thing that really blew up in the Chancellor's face was national insurance contributions. National insurance is, of course, what we have instead of a healthcare market. Everyone pays in national insurance contributions, assuming they're earning enough, and that insurance gets paid back out again in healthcare and unemployment benefits and things of that sort. It is the fundamental of the safety net, and it's charged separately to income tax. So your income has national insurance deducted and income tax deducted as separate considerations. And there has been, historically, a slight difference in the national insurance contribution levels of employed people versus self-employed people. So I have a salary and my national insurance contributions are, I think, 12%, maybe 11%. And if I was self-employed, it would be a couple of percents lower. So it's not a huge difference on paper, but in terms of your paycheck, actually that can be a lifesaver. And the Chancellor decided that since the Conservative election manifesto contained a much-loved pledge not to raise national insurance contributions, he would instead only raise national insurance contributions for the self-employed, and he would do this by the slightly sideways method of bringing them in line with the contributions made by employed people, waged people, people like me, which is effectively a tax hike on the self-employed, in the name of fairness. He's had to walk this back to, well, first we'll take 6 months to think about it before we pass legislation, and then further back to, actually, no, we won't do that after all. But I want to talk about, briefly, what self-employed means. Because self-employed is meant to mean people like your odd-jobbing gardener, who, there's him, and maybe his assistant, and a van, and they go around doing gardening for people who don't have enough garden or enough money to need a full-time gardener, but do need, 4 hours of gardener time once every couple of months to sort the lawn out, do a bit of weeding, cut down that tree, plant that other one, that kind of level of maintenance. That person is self-employed. The village plumber who does everyone's plumbing, and you call him up and you say, I would like my plumbing done, and he comes and fixes your particular leak, charges you for it, and there's no standing relationship, and doesn't work for an agency or a big company, but just charges you money, which goes straight to him. That person is self-employed. That's how it's meant to be. Excuse me. How it's been over the last few years, and increasingly, and we are having a lot of legal fights over it at the moment in the courts, because people are suing their employers to prove that they are in fact their employers, is that self-employed means not I work for myself, but I work at someone else's behest according to their system. They take a cut of everything I get paid. They probably set my hours, or at least require me to be available for specific hours. They are, in fact, employing me, but I am defined legally as self-employed because this is the new exciting gig economy, and I work for Deliveroo, or Uber, or Hermes, or I'm on someone else's 0-hour contract where they can, by the skin of their teeth, claim that I'm an independent contractor and therefore self-employed. These are the people with some of the most precarious and badly paid work in the country. These are people who work 60 hours a week sometimes, in the case of Uber drivers, and still don't make minimum wage. But they can't actually be working for themselves, because if they are not available to work at all the times the big company wants them, then that big company will terminate the relationship and they will be in debt or just out of a job, and they will starve and lose their homes. Those are the people who were actually going to be hit increasingly by hiking the national insurance contributions of the self-employed. Because the self-employed, very often and increasingly of late, are not.